then the Sheriff's Department has an individual who will, as I understand it today, supervise your probation. I think there's being a change looked at now where they're going to also pay or come up with a way that probation will be watching you as well on the court CD. We then have to, of course, fill out another set of documents determining whether or not where you're going to be on conditional discharge or probation, and that's got to be filed. We do then have to issue orders and conditions of the probation if it's for the probation department or for conditional discharge, which sets the terms and conditions that you must abide by during that 6-month period. I could mention now that that probation period could be longer than 6 months, but the law requires it's a minimum of 6, which would coincide with the interlock device installation period. We have a similar form if you're going to be on conditional discharge as we do with the probation department form. There is also, if there's any changes in the condition or terms of the probation, we have to fill out another form that says we're changing a term or condition of your probation or your conditional discharge. If you drive a vehicle for a business, it's not your vehicle, but it belongs to the company you work for, that interlock device must be installed in that vehicle. It could have more than one vehicle with an interlock device, but there's going to be at least one vehicle in your life that's got to have the interlock device installed. If that's the case, then we now have to have a notification to the business owner stating that they agree that it's okay for that interlock device to be installed in their vehicle. If you are driving a vehicle, say, that belongs to your mom or dad or somebody else in the household, then they have to give permission to have the device installed. And again, we have another form that has to be filled out and promulgated there. And then we have other special conditions for business-owned vehicles, etc. But as you can see, our life gets even more complicated with the interlock device coming into the picture. If, again, as I said, you don't own the vehicle is owned, say, by your parents, then, of course, that one of those vehicles has to have the interlock device installed. Obviously, if that person is not the only one driving the vehicle, let's say your mom's driving the vehicle, guess what? When she gets in that vehicle, she has to blow into the device to get it to start. It can't disseminate between who's driving. It just looks at that BAC level. That pretty much covers the overall program. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add, Jim, to that before we move on here.
Well, that certainly covers it well. I know they're already coming up with some bugs. For example, I know in one case, I believe it's out of the town of Portland, an individual only drives a motorcycle, but there's no provision for motorcycle interlocks.
Correct.
But the law requires there to be an interlock in every vehicle that this person would be operating. So they haven't decided how they're going to do that. There's another case where an out-of-state person, now these machines that control the interlock need to be calibrated by somebody. It's at probation, perhaps the Sheriff's Department.
No, it's the owner, the company that supplies the device does the calibration.
But they have to be done here, I believe.
The way I understand it now, there's 48 states in the program now. And if you're from Pennsylvania, there is a program where that can be transferred to Pennsylvania. So the reciprocal agreements are going to work with the interlock devices as they do on other matters as far as traffic convictions, etc. So that's going to probably be the way it'll go here.
Very good. Now, DWI, however, is just one of the things you cover in court as a town justice.
Oh, correct.
Let's start with the civil matters, for example. What type of matters would a town justice handle in the civil realm?
There are several parts to our civil court, as you're certainly aware. We have, first of all, the small claims, which we'll talk about a little later in more detail. That is where an individual who has had either some work done on their house or their vehicle or something, and it's not been done correctly, and they've not been able to get satisfaction from the contractor or the service garage, They could come into our court and file a small claims without an attorney, up to $3,000 to recover their money.
It's actually like a civil lawsuit.
Very much, it is exactly that. And under the Uniform Justice Court Act, which brought this into being, it enables, and it's a very heavily used part of our court
And
now.
that's good.
And
It gives redress to people who have civil matters that they don't require to pay all the filing fees involved in a civil case up in Supreme Court or County Court, for
Correct.
example.
Right.
I guess we have a telephone call. Caller? 2 calls. Whoever's first? Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Go ahead.
I'm a senior citizen, and I'm wondering if there's any special consideration for senior citizens, and if they lose their license, that really makes them very...
Actually, I can answer that. Actually, what they've done over the past several years is tightened up the DWI law substantially. For example, and most truck drivers don't even know it, maybe they do now, but when the law came out, if you hold a commercial driver's license, a CDL, which is required to drive big vehicles, even if it's in your private vehicle, if you're convicted of an alcohol-related offense, your CDL gets revoked for at least a year. So what that's done is taken people who depend on their CDL to make a living and has actually put them out of work.
Right.
There are no provisions for age. The only thing, I guess you could say, age-wise, that there's any difference or distinction is if you're 16 to 18 and you have your first criminal offense is a DWI, you're a mandatory YO. All of the penalties attached, in fact, even more so for young people, but all of the penalties attached to a DWI flow to a youthful offender. The only difference is, at the end of the day, that youthful offender has no criminal conviction as opposed to the adult who does.
Right. The only way you will avoid the interlock device at this point in time is to have your misdemeanor DWI reduced to the violation, the impaired.
Oh.
It's unfortunate because even as a senior citizen, there's no way to avoid, first of all, the suspension pending prosecution, which occurs at your arraignment. After conviction of the DWI misdemeanor, your license will actually be changed to read that the interlock device is required. No difference than you have the conditions on your license now if you have to wear eyeglasses, etc. You're going to see that also occur. That'll be right on your driver's license. So if you get stopped, that officer who stops you is going to look to see if that device is in that vehicle. If it's not in that vehicle, you will be charged with another misdemeanor.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
Judge, we have a special treat here. I understand Reed, from wherever he's at, is on the phone. Reed, are you there? Reed?
You should have the phone caller call back.
Yes. Ma'am, if you'd like to ask more questions, you can certainly call back. But Reed, where are you at?
Hi, we're out at sea.
Oh, how nice. Where are you headed to and from?
This sounds like Jim Subjack.
Yeah, it sure is. How are you, Reed?
Okay. I'm terrific. We're having a great time. We're rolling along on the Great Atlantic, heading up to New York. And I'm here with the guy who really counts on this ship. He takes care of everything, John O'Hara, and he has attended with his fine activities director, news director, Shona Blair. And we wanted to just chat with you and tell you a little about what's going on out here, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do. You're not in the hurricane, are you?
No hurricane. Is there anyone around? Is there one rolling?
I thought Richard, isn't it Richard? I don't know if it's a hurricane yet, but there's a tropical depression somewhere near the Atlantic.
We haven't even heard of it out here. we're just doing fine. But I wanted to give John O'Hara a chance just to say hello and talk a little bit about the ship and his background, where he came from. You know, he used to run a Hyatt hotel, a chain probably.
Wow.
Good
morning,
John,
John.
you're on.
Good morning, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
Excellent.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what your activities planned for today are?
Absolutely. We are rolling right along. We're heading to New York. We'll be arriving tomorrow morning in New York City at 8 o'clock. So we have a fun-filled sea day planned for today. And we're just doing everything we can to exceed our guest expectations and provide everybody with a vacation of a lifetime and deliver dreams.
I actually enjoy the sea
In
days
regards
as
to
much
some of
as
the
I do
highlights and the
trips.
activities that are taking place today, I'm going to turn it over to our cruise director, Shona.
Okay.
And this, incidentally, Jim, this is the Jewel, which is one of the really gorgeous ships on the NCO line. And how big is this ship, John?
This ship is 1,000 feet long, and we can accommodate up to 2,900 guests on board.
That's
It's
one of your
almost
bigger
a fifth
ships
of a
then.
mile from end to end.
Yeah.
Shona, say hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
I'm a very blessed cruise director out here where I get to run all the activities and the entertainment. And today, one of our big featured shows of the night, which is probably the biggest show that NCL actually offers and on any of their ships. They actually have a show called Le Cirque Bijou with 14 singers, dancers, and acrobats. We have a girl that can bend her bodies in ways that you can't imagine, and a Dodge couple. So we're going to wow the guests tonight with a huge show called, it's a little Cirque du Soleil style show, actually.
Sounds like fun. What about during the day?
Well,
You
who's
must
your
have
guest, John?
Go ahead, Reed. Reed, go
Hey,
ahead.
John, who's your guest today?
Who's your
Or
guest?
Jim?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Judge Narducci from the town of Chautauqua. We're talking about criminal justice.
Okay.
We're talking about Leandra's Law. We're talking about civil matters, small claims. We're trying to give a very brief education in less than an hour to the people who are in the viewing audience as to what actually goes on and how much the courts actually have to do. It's been very fascinating
Okay,
so
well-
far.
Looking at the monitor, can you see our picture?
Yes, right now we can't, but
Okay.
it's been on.
Okay, great. That's we shot those up on the bridge. That's
There you
where
are
the,
now. Yes, I
the
can see that.
navigation is.
So there's
Right.
actually four of you, including you, Reed. Who is who here?
Yeah, there's a captain there. There's John O'Hara, Shona, and me.
Okay.
Well,
Very
yeah, go ahead.
What
John.
a fine-looking group we are, aren't we?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I didn't get. I was next to Shona though.
Well, you're not in the picture we've got. So you've
Yeah,
got,
well, we've had John, Jim. We've just. I don't know. I think you're John Hamill.
he's probably next week.
Yeah, I know. We've had a great time. We went down to Nassau, and my came with me, and she did a lot of shopping. Boy, the shopping there was incredible. They gave us a nice long day there, and the weather has been fantastic all along this trip. Sometimes you get rough weather, as you mentioned, the hurricane, but we actually, these ships, the NCO has a policy of going around hurricanes if there is one, so you don't have to worry about it. But it's just been fabulous, and they have a private island, which is just the cutest little place. They have a big barbecue out there, and the sun is real sun there. You gotta put a lot of that stuff on. Well, John, would you tell us a little bit about some of the food here? I think the food is incredible.
Well, we actually have two main dining rooms, which we feature specialty menus every single evening. We have an Italian restaurant up on deck 12 aft. We also have a Cagney steakhouse. We have a Le Bistro French restaurant, a Chin Chin restaurant, which offers not only sushi, but teppanyaki and Mongolian hot pot. We have a Tango's Tex-Mex restaurant. We have a Blue Lagoon, basically with a diner, which offers comfort food. And we just do everything we possibly can just to take care of everyone.
And you
And
do a
furthermore,
fine
they
job.
And furthermore, they have two regular restaurants, which are gigantic and wonderful. And the menus here are striking. Like last night, I had cooked to order. I had some lamb chops, and you can have all you want. How can you go wrong?
How many did you order?
Actually, I just ordered the regular amount.
Check his pockets.
Yeah, he's going to go home with an extra suitcase. It's going to be filled with food from the dining
Well,
rooms.
the going gag is they weigh you when you come on and weigh you when you get off, and they charge you for the difference, Jim.
Yeah, I believe that.
Well, you took NCL not too long ago.
Yeah, we've taken a couple Norwegian cruises. We took one down the Mexican Riviera, down on the west coast of Mexico. That was nice. And then we did the other one out of New Orleans and went down the east coast. That time we went to
Okay, well,
custom.
it's a fabulous trip. And, the reason I always take a Norwegian is because it's cheaper. You can't beat the price.
Yeah, those are pretty good deals right now when you think about them. So
They
what's
sure
your
are.
activity plan for this afternoon, Reed?
My activity is pretty simple. I sleep.
You go by the pool?
I'll be going up on the deck with my daughter. I brought Sarah along and her family, and the kids